Rain. I know. I thought
last
that
night
this
started to
morning.
rain, and I was like, oh no.
Oh, did it rain?
It did.
I didn't know it was.
Not a whole lot. That's why I was concerned when you said to come from the backyard. Because I said if it is too wet, you can
What
come.
time was that?
It was a quick, maybe 10:30 or 11.
Wasn't there? I missed
So I had to go. Oh, we are live. We are live now. Hello, everybody. Good morning. What a beautiful start to our long weekend here in Waunakee. We want to welcome you back. This is the first installment of the series, Waunakee is Home. For the ones that haven't been here with us yet, this idea comes from the Create Waunakee community. And it's one of those that we thought about hearing the stories of our people, the people in our community. And by listening to their stories, where they come from, how they got here, what they do in our community, we're hoping to find a lot of similarities and learn with a lot of differences that we might find. So the goal here for us is to travel together, either to a faraway place or through time and learn more about the history of Waunakee. Today, myself and Natasha are going to be hosting this session. We have a treat today because our own Natasha Lutz is our interviewer for the series. So I'll pass along to her to explain a little bit about our guests.
So today we have Nadia Meyer, and she came all the way from Latvia to Waunakee. And with her will be Margaret Meyer, who welcomed her to Waunakee with open arms. We will start with a short video on Latvia.
Perfect.
It will come.
It's coming.
It's not what?
It's the one from Maeve. It's the other one.
Oh,
Go back.
this one? This is
The other one. The one that was on the screen. It's the movie that Tom had. I don't know where is the video that was sitting.
Why don't we just start by starting our interview now? We'll do the video at the end. How does that sound?
Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay. So to get started today, Nadia, why don't you tell us what brought you to the U.S.?
Well, good morning.
So sorry, I do have to the video is not going through.
All right. So let's start with what brought you to the U.S.
Sure. I came to the United States almost 20 years ago, freshly out of college. Didn't have a lot of expectations, just wanted to see the world, experience something new, see what America is for myself, rather than reading it in books or hearing stories. So it was I think, adventure.
Well, good. What were your first impressions of the U.S.?
Growing up in Soviet Union, as I did, we didn't know much about United States. I heard some scary stories, was terrified, but then when I went to college and learned a little more, started expanding my network, I heard a lot of great stories. So when I came to America, it was big. Definitely big, bright, sunny, and happy.
That's great. And in what ways, when you started to become part of this family, in what ways did Margaret help to make you feel part of?
When I moved to Waunakee 5 years ago, Margaret was my future mother-in-law, is the first person who really introduced me to this town. And I'm forever grateful. Thank you for that.
It was my pleasure. We love it here, and we want you to love it.
Thank you.
And in what ways has Nadia helped you to feel part of her life?
Oh, well, I think what I enjoyed about her was I really admired her risk taking, coming to America, her adventure. I could tell she loved being a mom. She was very responsible. She was very respectful coming into our family. Kind, generous. Oh, I can't. The good words go on. And I just, she brightens my days and weeks because we share a lot of things in common. We enjoy sewing, we enjoy gardening, flowers, any kind of craft, cooking.
Right?
And, you know, even though I've not met her family in Latvia, I just feel like they're a part of our family here because she talks to them all the time and she always greets them, and I send letters back and forth, and the internet is wonderful. To stay in touch.
So you mentioned sewing and cooking. What kinds of things do you like to cook?
Well, I like cooking traditional Russian food that's influenced from my grandmother. My husband is a great cook, so we do a lot of mix. And then Margaret cooks traditional American food that you grew up and were familiar with since you were a little girl. So this is a combination of.
I like to bake, so I'm always sharing muffins with them. And I love to make soups, and you always have plenty, so we share. And Nadia makes wonderful soups too. And she grows a lot of herbs, so she's always adding some herbs to her cooking that I didn't think about using, and it just adds wonderful flavor.
That's great. Now in your family, do you have like one person cooks at a time, or do you find that you help each other out?
Oh, we are a team. Me and my husband, we're a good cooking team. Yeah. He's the grill master. I'll be doing side dishes or salads. Yeah, we enjoy it. This is our way of spending time together as a couple.
Yesterday I had a pickle that they had made from their garden using their own cucumbers and fermenting it for, Matt said 9 days. Oh, it was yummy.
Great.
You know, and I don't want to take the time to make pickles, but I sure appreciate if someone else does.
Well, and we love cooking and sharing with our family and friends. It's fun.
Do you live close to each other?
Yes,
do.
we live 5 minutes away.
We can walk to each other's homes, which is splendid.
That's great.
It's a treat.
It is.
Good. So both of you moved to Waunakee, right? You didn't start out in Waunakee.
No.
What brought you, Margaret?
When we came to Waunakee in 1982, it was our 8th move since we were married, and we've been married 15 years at that time. And so we had lived 4 years in our prior home, and that was wonderful to really put down roots. But we came here because we heard Waunakee had good schools, and they still have good schools, and we have never regretted it. And Jim was working for Durovich-Meyer at the time, and part of climbing the ladder with that company was being willing to move. And so we came back here, and we couldn't find a house, so we moved here about this time of year, and we were living in what was then the Midway Motor Lodge in Madison. And I would drive the kids out here to Waunakee every day for school. We still had our home in Woodstock, Illinois, which Durovich-Meyer eventually bought, and we'd go home on the weekends. But I think we did that for 6 weeks before we found a house and moved in. Halloween, I think we moved in our house.
Wow.
And we've never regretted it. But when we moved to Waunakee, you could leave Main Street and drive down South Street past the old library, the high school, and there were no stop signs. That's how Waunakee has changed. It was 4,000 people then. And I'm so thankful that they welcomed me because we love it here and we want to welcome other people into this community that really, I feel, cares for each other and wants to grow and find the best for each person.
That's great. I never thought about the fact that, today many people move here for the schools, but that Waunakee has had such a long tradition
They do.
of great schools. At what point did you feel like Waunakee was home?
Oh, wow. That's a good question. I wish I could, right away we connected with churches and I was a room mother. One of my most satisfying, not jobs, but volunteer work, I guess you'd say, was participating in Meals on Wheels in Waunakee. And I introduced Nadia to that. And my husband and I started over 20 years ago, and Jim was working full time, so we just did it once a month. And I would encourage anyone that wants to get to know Waunakee, that would be a wonderful way to do it. And because we've moved here from so many areas, many people miss having a grandma or grandpa in their life. And the people getting Meals on Wheels would welcome a younger person, even little children coming. I remember one day I was taking Mason and Lily with me, and a woman we had delivered to was 100 years old that day. And we got to sing happy birthday to her. And I said to them, not everyone gets to sing happy birthday to someone that's 100. And now Nadia delivers to Agnes.
Agnes, she's 108.
Mhm.
Wow.
She's my good friend. Yes, I
Yes.
see her once every 2 weeks.
Mhm.
That's great.
Still lives in her own apartment because she gets Meals on Wheels. She can, and she has other family support, but they're essential for a lot of people to remain in their homes.
Yeah. So for people who are not familiar with Meals on Wheels, can you tell us exactly what that is?
You want
It's a beautiful volunteer program that delivers meals daily, Monday through Friday, to elderly people or people with disabilities that still like to stay in their own homes, but not able to cook their own meals. And I deliver every week, which became part of my weekly routine, and I always look forward to my Thursdays when I get to deliver meals.
That's great. Is that something that it would be easy for people to sign up for? Do you need help? More help in that?
Oh,
program?
yes, they always do. Because of COVID, my husband and I currently aren't doing it, but I admire the people our age who still do it and wear their masks. They would simply call the village center and they'll connect you with the person in charge. Some people have Meals on Wheels for 2 weeks while they're recovering from knee surgery, hip surgery, a fall. And it's just a wonderful service. And would you say on a given day, well over 100 meals are delivered
In Waunakee area.
and
Wow.
the surrounding area.
So if somebody wanted to get involved, who should they contact?
The village center.
Okay,
We'll put you in touch with the right person.
great. So I've heard how Waunakee felt like home and became home for you. At what point did you feel like, and maybe back up a little bit and tell me a little bit more about your story of arriving in Waunakee, leaving your country.
I moved to Waunakee 5 years ago when I met Margaret's son, my now husband. Before I lived north of here in Wisconsin Dells, raising my daughter. So my move to Waunakee was, we were creating a family, we were blending families. So from working 2 jobs and being a single mom, I became a mom to 3 children, and I stayed home for the first year or 2, just taking care of the children. And so my move was a happy move from where I was before. But what was I going to say?
Well, can I back you up a minute? what brought you to the Wisconsin Dells?
I was in Wisconsin Dells the summer of 2000 for the first time, just
Okay.
for work and travel as a college student back
Okay.
in Latvia. That was a program. I don't know if it still exists or not, that we could travel for 5 months, make a little money, see a little bit of the country, go back home. And Wisconsin Dells was the place where I was placed.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know much about it. I looked at the big map of the United States. I've heard of New York. I've heard of LA. What is Wisconsin? Okay, well, they sending me there. I returned home, finished my studies, and then a year later, I moved to the United States. And Wisconsin happened to be a place where I felt comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Weather-wise, knew some people, and got stuck in there.
Yeah. Well, that's great. And so now tell me how you felt Waunakee became home.
Well, I raised my family here now. So for a while it was a strange town that I didn't know much about. I had to use a GPS just to deliver meals within 3-mile radius, but that's how you learn. But I think when I received my first letter from one of the recipients of Meals on Wheels, how grateful she was and how she admires what we do and thanking me as a volunteer for my work. Then it clicked that I am part of this community. People appreciate what I do, and I think that was the moment when I felt, yes, I feel home here.
Good. Would you say that Waunakee is your only home?
No, no, because when I go back to Latvia to visit my family, I know every street, I know every corner, I know people. There's a lot of friends, family. I feel home there too. So it's very interesting. And I think I would call myself very fortunate to have 2 homes and feel at home here in Waunakee and in Riga, Latvia.
Great. So since we didn't get to see the video earlier,
Sure.
many people probably have no idea where Latvia even is.
Oh,
Can you
yes.
tell us about that and a little bit about the country?
Sure. It's a very small country, about 2 million people. I think it's the size of a third of a Wisconsin, maybe. On the Baltic Sea, northern East Europe. So we have Russia on one side, and then Scandinavia would be across the sea, and then our Baltic sisters, Estonia and Lithuania, if anybody knows what those countries are. There's a lot of nature, sea, beaches, forests, fields. So we grew up very connected to Mother Nature. For ones that grew up in the city, every chance we had, we would go to the seaside, or if you had a summer house, you go there. So it's very simple life, but we appreciate it a lot.
Good. And how would you say that it differs from the U.S. growing up there?
Well, growing up in Soviet Union was much different than life children had here in the United States at the same time. A lot different.
Mm-hmm.
One story I remember Nadia talking about was going to the grocery store, and everything was just in a brown wrapper. There wasn't color like we're used to going into a store today, where everything is marketed in a bright, cheerful way to get you to buy. And she told my husband that story, that things were drab or dark or paper, but just
Sure.
wrapped in simple paper.
I remember growing up as a little kid with two kinds of soap, one for your body and one for everything else. Wash clothes, wash dishes, you name it.
Your house.
So that's a little different.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You brought today with you your doll there.
Margaret did.
Mhm.
Okay.
This was a gift from Nadia's mother to us, and she's since made another one, and it's all handmade, and it's beautiful. And in here are buttons from Nadia's clothing when she was a little girl.
Oh yeah.
It's
That
special.
is so special.
And Nadia made this. I love buttons, and she designed it using my buttons. This is one of the first gifts she gave me, a drawing of a singer-songwriter machine. That's very detailed and
It is
beautiful.
beautiful.
She's very creative.
I can see that for sure. And Nadia, you mentioned that buttons hold a meaning for you as well.
Yes, I remember when I was a little child, the selection of toys that I had was not that great. Eventually, I would get sick of my two dolls that I was playing with. But my grandmother had a big jar with just random buttons. So I remember would just spill it all on the table, and I could spend hours just sorting them out, looking at the details, and it was very soothing, very calming, and it was one of my favorite toys, I would say, as a little kid.
Great. So now you love to decorate with them.
I love buttons.
Yeah.
They're very pretty. Yes, if I have a chance to put a button somewhere, I would.
Well, you've made them into very beautiful art.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I also heard that you like to do upholstery refinishing.
Yes, and this is something that Margaret actually introduced me to. You sign us up for a class at MATC, and I knew nothing about upholstery. Well, maybe just a little introduction, but we took that class together. I continued learning upholstery, and I never stopped.
That's
I
great.
love it. Thank
I
you.
love fabric, and the first time I thought about upholstery, I was just going to have someone else do it, and I was so interested in all the choices that I had done it for almost 15 years off and on. In the basement of St. John's Church is where the class still is held. And I introduced Nadia, and I couldn't believe she was just expert from the first project. I mean, it was like she'd been doing it for years. She just has an eye and a skill. And, it's a very rewarding hobby, career.
Bringing old furniture back to life. Isn't that amazing?
It is.
Much better than the landfill.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it requires a lot of detailed work,
Oh, yes.
which I can see from your pillow there
Sure.
is something that you're very good at.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's very therapeutic, I would say.
Good. Good. You both are very creative women.
Thank you.
It's good for our mental health.
Yes.
And now during COVID, we all need help any way we can get it to keep our mental health strong.
That's true. And to find things to do that are not connected to these devices right
Oh,
here.
absolutely.
Yeah. So what I'd like to do is switch to our rapid fire questions. We want to ask each guest that we have these same 5 questions because it's so interesting
Sure.
to hear how people are the same and different. So number 1, we'll start with Nadia for this one. What is the most memorable job you've ever had?
Oh. It's interesting. You asked this question. I think my very first job in the United States 20 years ago, which was a t-shirt store in Wisconsin Dells, where you have a wall full of t-shirts with funny sayings. And of course, my English was close to zero. And I was watching people walk around the store laughing at those t-shirts. I really wanted to know what's going on. So I started carrying a little pocket dictionary that I brought with me from Latvia. And at the spare time, when I had spare time, I would just page through the dictionary, translate what it says. So this was my way of starting learning slang or English that I wasn't familiar with. So yes, it gave me that little push to learning the language and yes, expanding. So I think funny, but that would be my answer probably.
Good. And how about you, Margaret?
I would say I'm just so happy I got to be a mom and a grandmother. You know, it's just so rewarding and always challenging too. But that would be my favorite job. Just that's a blessing. Second would be having worked for Styles by Dave here in Waunakee for 15 years. Dave was a wonderful boss. And when I retired to be a grandmother, I had clients that were age 3 up to age 90. So you really get to meet a lot of wonderful people.
That's fantastic.
And hopefully make them look better when they leave.
Yeah, yet another way to use creativity. That's great. All right, Margaret, we'll go back to you. What is your favorite food?
I was thinking about that. I love food. There are a few foods I don't like, but a steak, a New York strip from our company, Nesvig's, or second would be a pork roast prepared on the Weber charcoal by my son Matt.
Oh yes, he's a great
And he really makes them the best.
Great. And how about you, Nadia?
Oh, I love food. I agree with you. There's probably very few things that I don't like. But my absolute favorite probably is my grandma's cabbage pie.
Ooh.
Cabbage pie. What is in cabbage pie?
She sautés cabbage, adds a little mushrooms in it, and it's just a savory pie with fresh herbs and
And
crust.
crust.
And
Wow,
grew up eating it, and I could eat it every day probably.
that's awesome.
Have you made it since?
No,
you've been
I
there?
have not, but
I want to try it.
I never made it myself, but
Oh,
I'm
you
going
could do
to, and I will share, I promise.
Perfect.
She'll do it.
All right. Nadia, what would you say is a simple joy in your life?
From gardening, growing my own vegetables, cooking, cooking from the garden, sharing with family, neighbors, things like that.
And how about you, Margaret?
I really enjoy sewing. You know, now I'm thinking about Halloween. You know, make a pillowcase out of Halloween fabric, give a college student a Halloween pillow. I've made pillowcases for people recovering from breast cancer surgery,
That's great.
sharing quilts that live long after we have left this earth. And I see my mother's quilts with 1975 on them, and it just means a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm very thankful that I have learned that joy, and also just a very rewarding
Yeah.
thing.
Both of you, I notice, also use your creativity as a way to express love for others. I think that's great.
We're fortunate we have
Yeah,
that ability.
that's great. Margaret, what is your favorite thing about our community?
Well, I would say one of my favorite memories is the ecumenical services that are held every year before Thanksgiving, where you come together with everyone who wishes to participate and you give thanks for blessings in your life. And then a second thing would be at our church, FPC, First Presbyterian, I've been participating in dressing families who come to participate in the live nativity, and to dress these little girls as an angel and put on their wings, or to dress a Mary or a Joseph. It just adds new meaning to the Christmas spirit and really makes you think about the true meaning of Christmas.
Great. And how about you, Nadia?
Waunakee has such a great sense of community, and I absolutely love how people support each other. Hard times, happy times. Waunakee really makes people feel welcomed no matter where they come from. I feel like this is how I felt when I moved here.
That is really fantastic and heartwarming to hear. Glad to hear that. What would you say is the motto you live by?
Simple. Find what brings you joy and go there.
And how about you?
I always told my children, and I still believe it, always treat others the way you would want to be treated.
It sounds like you do just that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, ladies. It's been lovely to chat with you this morning. We'll see if the video will run now. And if not, we'll make sure to post it on the Create Waunakee page on Facebook.
We have the video ready to roll, people.
Perfect.
Thank you so much, ladies. Thank you, Natasha. I am so sorry, everybody that is watching live, for the glitches in the backstage. We are still learning through our process. I would love for our guests to stay there put for a bit. We are going to be playing the video in a moment here. And then we will come back to do a few final thank yous and some messages as well. So hold on a second, and I hope I do this properly this time. Hold on. Share first. No? No?
It's the wrong window.
Yeah.
It's not on the right. It's not on the right. That's not right. It's not showing that one.
It's not showing. Oh, okay. We are good.
They can see it.
They can.
Okay. So it's okay.
Super long.
Well, if that doesn't make you want to go to Latvia to visit, I don't know what will. Your country is absolutely gorgeous, Nadia, and we are so thankful that you accepted the invitation to be part of the Waunakee's Home series as our second guest. Tell a little bit about your story moving here to Waunakee from so far away, and it's such a challenging and beautiful story. And to you, Margaret, our huge thank you for also accepting our invitation, because that story that Nadia tells is
even more beautiful when told with the pride that you had mentioned to me one time as you welcomed her into your family. So we really appreciate you both being part of our series today. There's so much more in talking to these two ladies, folks, that I would absolutely recommend. If you see her or both of them in the streets, stop and ask them more questions, because there is much more stories, many more stories from where this came from. A huge thank you to Natasha for being our interviewer today behind the cameras. As you all know, we're trying to be very careful with keeping the 6 feet apart when we are doing this series. That's why Natasha was only the voice behind the camera. We appreciate all of these and the folks that are joining live. I saw many of you here today. Again, apologies for some of the glitches in the technical aspect. At the end of this thank you series, the thank you to close, we will try to play one last video for you guys. If not, that last video will be pushed as a link to this live session on Facebook page. It is a video that was put together with one of our youth volunteers, telling specifically about the story of Nadia and the beautiful talent that she has for picture taking as well. So hopefully we'll be able to add that to the end. And I pass it over to you, Natasha, for your notes as well.
I would just love to thank all of the volunteers who help us put this on. It's fun to work with them. It's fun to get to know everybody. First, we have Kylie West, who is helping us from Create Waunakee, and she helps get it all on the Facebook for us and going live. And then we have, we could not be doing this without Bettina Culver, who does all of our IT stuff because, well, that's just not one of my skills. We can say that. Also, we would like to thank Angie Ramos, who has been helping us with promotions. And we would love, if this interests you at all, we would love to have you come on our team and join us. We are looking for volunteers. We can plug you in many different ways. Just reach out to us, send a message on Create Waunakee would probably be the best way to let us know. And we especially are looking for any middle school or high school students who would like to help us in researching a country, learning about a country, and also putting together a video that highlights our guests. Thank you very much for watching, and we will see you next month when we interview local Waunakeans who have been here for a long time, and we'll get lots of history about Waunakee. Thank you for joining us.